Before we get into it, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording today, the Whadjuk Noongar people. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, because it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Zero Filter. I'm Faye, and I like to sit down and talk about things that need to be talked about. It could be what's heavy on my brain. It could be something super serious, deep, and wonderful. But whatever it is, I'm going to talk about it because it's my podcast and I can. And I'm glad that you're here because today is something that has been heavily requested. It is something that is obviously, it's the oldest profession in the world. And if you know what that is, it is sex work. And if you have been following me for a little while, you will know that I am in that world. I am a stripper. I have done OnlyFans. And that's all I've delved into, I think. There's so many different realms to sex work. Like there is... What are some that you guys might not have heard of? Also, I did some freckles on my face because I thought it would look cute, but it kind of looks like I've been picking at my face like a crackhead. So, noted. Sorry, not to offend any crackheads. What am I saying? Anyway, so there is findoms, which are financial doms. There is foot people that sell their feet, pictures. Also, there's just so many. There's so many in the internet spectrum of sex work. So, yeah, I've dibbed and dabbled in it quite a few, but never anything full service. And full service is an escort of the sexual kind. So, obviously, there's a big thing around, is escorting someone that has sex, or is it just someone that escorts someone somewhere? And they can be both. And please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong, but this is my knowledge of it after being in the umbrella of sex work for around 7 years. Now, people get confused with sex work because sex work, they're just like, oh, so you have sex for money. And it's like, no. It's like, imagine a tradie. And so when you say, oh, that guy's a tradie, he can be a plumber, a chippy, an electrician. He's a tradesperson. Sex work is the same. So when you say a sex worker, they can be a stripper, a dominatrix, a findom, an escort, OnlyFans. You know, it's not necessarily, they're selling a sexual service. And that's why, that is my best analogy for you guys to kind of pick up what I'm putting down. But I'm going to be talking about that today. I'm going to be talking about my own experience. I'm going to be talking about some truths and some myth busting. I'm going to be talking about some experiences that I've had in the club. And I'm also going to share some experiences of women that I know, femmes that I know, that are in this industry and wanting to share their story. So let's jump into all of that. There might be some other stuff in there, you never know. So, I'm going to get comfy. Also, I got tattooed yesterday on the back of my leg and these two little snaky boys. So if you feel me like, see me, if you're watching on YouTube, if you see me like going like, oh, around here, it's just because they're a bit ouchy at the moment. And I also got one on the back of my leg. Hello. So let's start off at the beginning. And the beginning is, well, it's my beginning. So I'm going to start off at my beginning, which is how I started and why I got into stripping and my personal experience in this world of stripping. So I started off, how did I start, Faye? How did you start? I am a mother. I am also someone that has ADHD and autism. And you're like, what the fuck has this got to do with it, Faye? But I was hardly ever seeing my daughter. I was burnt out as fuck. And I just was barely paying rent. I got an hour and a half to see my kid, or pick her up from daycare, drop her off at daycare, I'd get an hour and a half after work. And then I was single as well. So like, you know, I was busting my butthole. And I also was slowly figuring out that I needed help with whatever was going on in my brain, because I just knew that it wasn't normal, wasn't me. I like, it was me, but I needed to understand myself more. And I started looking into ADHD and realized that it was very, very, very expensive to get a diagnosis, to get help. And so I was speaking to some of my friends that were strippers, and I was like, you know, I've worked in sales for a while, since I could get a job, really. And I've done a lot of sales training. I have been a dancer or a gymnast since I was 4. And if you have listened to my spirituality one that I last did, like, you know, I embarked on this spiritual journey of like learning and falling in love with myself and my body and my sensuality and my sexuality. And so I just done all of this, and I was like, if you put all of those 3 together, boom, bam, pow, you've got a fucking perfect stripper in my logic, right? And I was 27, and yeah, as I said, like I had a 4-year-old, 5-year-old daughter, 24, 25, 4-year-old daughter. So yeah, still in kindy. And yeah, I was like, fuck it. And so I went onto a strip club's webpage, and then it was like name, like stage name, and I was like, oh, what am I going to be called? And so I went on to Google, and I was like, witchiest baby name. And then I was scrolling, and then I saw Omen, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is amazing, because I wanted something unique, you know. I wanted something different. And Omen was born, and I went to my interview audition, and they were like, yeah, you have to do a little dance. And one thing with stripping, when you see a girl wearing stockings and then a garter belt and underwear, let me tell you, there is a whole goddamn thing that goes into putting that on correctly. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a whole big knot and embarrassment on stage. So you have to put on your stockings first, then your underwear. And then when you put your garter belt on, you have to slip that under. So you put the garter belt on first, then hook that up to your stockings. Then you put your underwear on last, Otherwise, you try and pull your underwear down and it all is tangled and you are stuck and everyone can see it. So that's what happened to me in my audition, because a rookie didn't know and didn't think that through. And they put on Candyman, like Candyman. And I was like, oh my God, you're kidding. How am I supposed to be sexy to this? But all right, I'll give it a red hot crack. And the beautiful woman, I still work with her today, hired me and was like, you're obviously a dancer, you're hired. And I started 2 months later, 2 weeks later, just because I had loan and what have you. And yeah, that's when I became a stripper. And previously, when I was around 18, 19, I worked in a nightclub in Darwin, and we would get strippers that would come to our nightclub, and they would, it was called TOT, so it was called Tequila on Tuesday, but it was pretty much Tits Out Tuesday. That's how everyone knows it as. And we would have like us dancers, and we would be dancing in like a bikini and like little denim shorts, and it was like very like hula vibes, like I don't know, Hawaiian. There we go, got it. Vibes like tiki bars and tequila and all of that and what have you. And then the strippers would come out on stage and do like tits out. And so I got very friendly with a few of them, and all of us dancers from this club that I worked at, like it was just a nightclub. Like I was a podium dancer. You've seen them now, that it's coming back in, which is very cool. It's like a full circle moment. I was one of them. And so on the Tuesdays, the strippers would come to our club. We became friendly with them. And then so on the Wednesday, when we had Wednesdays off, we would go to the strip club and like tip them, and we just became friends with them. So my kind of like background knowledge, that was from when I was 18. So like my background knowledge of hanging around strippers and being in strip clubs was pretty prominent. Like I would say that I knew my way around a strip club. I understood it. I'd been for lap dances, like all of these things, but there was still such a stigma that I held in my head of like what they would do with each other and what they would do with sexual partners and all of this kind of stuff that I stigmatized in my head about these people. Even though I was friends with a lot of them, I just held this stigma. And it was naivety, of course. Like I was only 18, 19. But yeah, when I finally got myself dancing in a strip club, all that glitters is not gold, my friend. Like I just had these wild thoughts about these girls, and I was so far off. Like girl. Like I just feel really fucking bad for having those thoughts about people that I knew, because some of the thoughts that I would have would be like, oh, they're definitely doing coke when they go back into the change room and stuff like that. In fact, what I've witnessed in change rooms is people checking each other's buttholes for poop before they go on stage. Girls eating full burritos or full salads in there, laying on the floor and having a nap with a robe over the top of you, checking that your tampon string is cut so that a customer can't see it when you're in a lap dance, smelling your breath. Like there's nothing to hide behind when you become a stripper. But the one thing is for certain, what happens in that change room is no drugs. Especially not at the ones I've worked in. Like, at all. I've never seen it. So, there's that. It's just like, it's our safe space. It's like you can like let your gut out. You can like just go like, oh, fuck that guy. Fuck that customer. Fuck that girl. Like that's the type of shit that happens. It's like when you go into like the girls' toilets, for the femmes listening, when you go into the femmes' toilets and you're just like, oh my God, I can finally like just like be myself and I don't have to like poke my butt out, like hold my shoulders back, like be pretty all the time. Like, you know. If you know, you know. If you don't, like I'm sure guys are like, oh, that girl out there. I don't know. I'm not a dude and I don't know. But I'm sure it'd be like boys' locker room equivalent. Like they can just be grotty and gross. And it's the same for us. Like 100%. And I'm just going to give a little disclaimer. Like this is my own experience. This is my own opinion. This is my own everything. So if it doesn't align with your experience in being a sex worker, I completely understand, because everyone is fucking different. And I think this is the point of this podcast and this episode is I want to show that everyone, like if you are a nurse, what's another really, like, what does everybody do? I don't know. Think of your job, person listening. Think of your job and think about everyone else that does your job. Are you all the same? Do you do all, like, have you had the same life? Were you sexually assaulted? Have you been assaulted? Like, is that why you do your job? Like, a job is a job. Just because ours is less normal or talked about does not mean that we are all the same person with the same life experiences doing this job for the same reason. Like, everyone has a job and everyone does a job, but everyone is a completely different person. And that is why I want to share as many stories as I can in this role. And I want to share my story because I know that this is completely different experience to anyone else. Side note, explained. So yeah, I was at that club for 2.5 years. I had a very horrible experience at that club with some of the people that worked there. They told me I was going to become a junkie and get my child taken off me, which was horrible. So then I went to another club and yeah, that didn't work out either. And also like stigmatized by like management for having tattoos is also quite prevalent in some clubs, which is very interesting. But obviously like they have a type and they want to stick to it, and that's fine. I understand that. I don't agree with it, but I understand it, and that's okay. Which leads me to me being at this club, and I think I'm entering my 7th year, which is wild because I feel like I just started. And then I look back on photos and I'm like, whoa. I'll enter some B-reel pictures of like baby Omen. No tattoos, super skinny. I was so skinny. And I'm like, it's wild how like body dysmorphia is like looking back on photos when I was like 27 and how skinny I was, but I thought I was huge. Like, and now I'm just like, does that mean I'm so skinny now and I just can't see it? Anyway, that's such a side note, but yeah, now I've been at the club that I've been at for like 1.5 years, and like that's even so crazy to me, and it's so amazing. And yeah, I mean, my experience has been with stripping so vast, and I've worked interstate. I've worked back in Darwin, which was interesting because that's my hometown. But yeah, I think this job has been so beautiful and freeing. It's like, not freeing because it's not. It's like, yeah. Let me think of my words. Hold on. The reason I started was because I wasn't spending a lot of time with Lone. And this job has given me the time. Like, she started school the year after COVID hit. Sorry, this is so ADHD. I'm like jumping all over the place, but COVID hit. So like, luckily I'd started that because I was able to jump onto OnlyFans, which had just kind of like taken off. And so once we went inside, I was still able to make money and pay rent and all of these things, which I'm so grateful for. And I think that's the one word that really resonates with this job is I'm grateful. I'm so eternally like grateful for this job because I was already so in love with myself and so strong, but it's just like hardened me in a way that I won't take no shit, and I've really learnt my boundaries and who I am, and I get to pick my daughter up from school. I get to take her to school. I get to take her on these beautiful trips. I get to give her whatever she wants, which I never had as a child. And I get to spend quality time with her, which I think is just such a beautiful thing that parents don't get to do with their children that much anymore. Like growing up, my mum was at work every single day. And then on the weekends, she was like, you know, obviously and understandably relaxing with her friends and hanging out with her friends. And now I get to spend every afternoon with my kid. And I think I'm just so grateful for the experiences and the freedom that it gives me financially to live this life in the way that I want to. And I think that's such a gift. And I've met such amazing women. And with the money that I do make, I then get to also put that back into my health. I get to eat organically. I get to, spend it on therapy in whatever way that looks. Like, I get to speak on this podcast about important topics and things that I think that should be heard and known, and stories that should be shared so people can have more education and acknowledgement of what's actually happening in the world and what their community is. Because at the end of the day, like, community is key. Like, conversations are key. Education is key. And yes, the world is going through so much right now, but when it all boils down to it, what's so important is the people that you surround yourself and the community of that then can change your community. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah. I really did not want to do this podcast today. I really felt shit. But I powered through, and I'm really proud of myself because, I just didn't want to do it. And this is just an inserted bit of do something that you don't want to do today. Push yourself out of that space and get into the uncomfortable, because you will feel so much better about yourself, especially if you're neurodivergent. Unless you're super, super burnt out. But anyway, continuing on. This job, obviously, as I said, it gives me a lot of freedom, and it's given me, I'm so grateful for it. But obviously, there is so much more that comes with that. And it's like the emotional burnout, like you're consistently having to uphold this illusion of self on a platform or inside of the club. And I'm not someone that puts on quite a persona. I tend to, I think it's with my autism as well. I'm just like, this is me. And I am multifaceted. And I can be this sexual person and this sensual person. I can be this therapist for this person. But obviously, if you're not consistently looking after yourself and your mental health, like, you're taking on someone's energy always. And it's not the same person. It's like multiple different energies. And, there's you're getting rejected constantly. Like, imagine going up to someone and you're just like, hey. And they're like, I'm good. No. Like, you don't have big tits. Fuck off. They've never said that to me, but someone has said that they would prefer bigger boobies. And someone said that they don't like tattoos, but a lot of people have said that they don't like tattoos, and then they're just like, you are the epitome of don't judge a book by its cover, which I really, really like. I think breaking stigmas and breaking these social constructs is something that I love to do. So being in this role, in this job, I think I really get to push those boundaries with people and really get them thinking about stuff that they wouldn't normally think about, or ways of thinking. Like, I'm like, can I shift your perspective in this way? Can I shift your perspective and maybe we think about it differently? Because they're like, I could go and fuck someone for this amount of money. Why would I spend it on you? And it's like, okay, how about we shift that? How about we look at it in a way that it's like, if you're going to a restaurant, you're not going to be like, I can make this at home for way less money. No, you go there because they're going to cook for you and they're going to give you a beautiful experience. It's the same as a strip club. Like, you are going there. Of course you can get fucked, probably for free. You could get a lap dance, but is it going to be the same experience? No. This is a luxury thing. You don't go to the cinema and think, oh, I could have downloaded this illegally at home. No, you go for the experience. You go for the big screen and the nice seats and the popcorn. It's the same as the strip club. You go for the nice room and the pretty girl with the shots. You know? Like, if we shift the perspective and realize that you're going into a space where they're selling an experience, instead of going, well, I'm lacking, I want to get fucked. Like, think about it. Because if everyone starts going to strip clubs and just demanding that they have sex with them, like, there's not going to be strip clubs anymore, and then people are going to be disappointed. Plus, like, we don't get paid to go, and again, this is my own experience, but most of the time we get paid minimum $20 to go on stage, and you're getting fully naked and you're doing all of these. Me, not so much. I'm not a pole girl. Can't do tricks. I can do a couple, but not my thing. I'd rather just shake my butt. They're doing these extravagant, beautiful performances, and guys just want to sit there and tip their measly $1. Like, do better. Go to the peep show, and even then, tip more. Like, we're human beings. Imagine if you were in that position where you were taking your clothes off for random people, and they were like, oh, here's your $1. Like, it's like, yes, we chose this profession, but you also chose to do that. Like, be a better person. Like, you don't go into a shop. Oh, some people do, I guess, yeah. They do go into a shop and be a dog cunt. Whoa. Sorry, sometimes things come out of my mouth and I... Sometimes people go into shops and are very rude to customer service, and you've seen that, you know that. It's like people are mean to the waiters. Like, that's the same kind of logic as someone not tipping or going for dances in strip clubs. I hope that makes sense. So I want to jump into some stories that I have been sent by femmes that I work with in the industry, just to kind of shake things up, because I got a little bit serious there, and I thought I didn't want to just talk about myself, you know. I feel like, as I said, we're all such a vast bunch of human beings, and yeah. So someone has sent in about being autistic and chronically ill and an artist. This job allows me to listen to my body, take on what I can, and still allowing me to create what's most important to me. And amen. Fucking man. Like, not only do I get to spend time with my daughter, but being autistic, I have massive burnout. And this job, although, I mean, any job, being autistic and chronically ill is going to give you burnout, but it's like it then gives you the downtime to then be able to go back into it. Like, you're not having to work 5 days a week. You can choose when you work, and you can choose how you work. And I think that is so important. And you find so many sex workers that are neurodivergent, chronically ill, disabled in some sense, that this is the only way that they can. And as I said, this is my own opinion, and I just wanted to say that I'm so privileged. Like, I am beyond privileged. Like, there is people out there that do this job to survive, and I wish, I don't have any words. I'm privileged, and I am grateful that I am in a position that I can do this not out of survival mode, because there is people that aren't in that, and so I just want to recognize that. Okay, another one that I've got is, I got into stripping because I wanted financial freedom, and as someone on a visa, I kept getting rejected from normal jobs. So I have known a few femme people that have worked in this industry while they're studying as well. So like they're obviously needing to get money to live while they're on a student visa. And this is the only one that kind of accepts people for who they are. And the problem with strip clubs is they don't accept everyone. Like, you do have to have a somewhat pretty privilege. And that sucks. So a lot of people do go into the escorting or brothel work, as I said, for the survival means of needing to live, because a lot of people, and you will see this in any job, like especially in sales-based jobs, they want that pretty, like by social standards, pretty. You know what I mean? Which freaking sucks, if you ask me. Because I reckon if people can sell, give them a job. I get a lot of weird Asian fetish customers. Not me, by the way, I'm reading a story. I've started asking them, oh, why do you like Asians? In a dumb girl voice to make it sound like I genuinely don't know and need them to teach me. But they always stumble over their words to explain, because there's obviously no nice way to explain an Asian fetish out loud. Oh my God, I love that. I love doing the dumb voice. Like, even like when everyone's like, oh, how many tattoos do you have? I'm like, I don't have any tattoos. What are you talking about? It's like, I swear, especially if you're adding alcohol into the mix, like, it's probably not great. So I have one from someone, and she actually didn't send me the full story, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's bloody hilarious. She baptized a plasterer because I thought he said he was a church pastor. What? Girl. I love you. I love you so much. I have another one that came through on Not Gonna Lie, and it was about that time a woman was flashing her pussy at me and other dancers while we were on stage. It freaked me out. Ew, please don't. This happens in more ways than one. Like, women come into the club, and this is something that I want to bring up because it is like, women, listen, when you walk into a strip club as a woman, please do not touch the dancers. Just because we share anatomy don't mean you can get at me. Oh, I like that. I just made that up. But the amount of, I've been touched more in the 7 years that I've been stripping by women that are patrons than men ever. Like, girls are handsy. They want to slap your bum. They want to grab your titties. They want to get theirs out. They want to get their puss out. And they're like, I want to be a Sarah. Like, check yourself before you wreck yourself, my dear. Like, and please don't get your vulva out at the stage while we are on stage, because it is really fucking awkward. Yeah. This happened to me when I had been dancing about a month. I was hustling a bucks party and ended up getting booked for half an hour by the buck, who was a bit drunk. Everything was going well until he projectile vomited on me. He got kicked out, but I still got paid, but gross. Oh dear. That would be, oh no. I'd want to go home. I would want to go home. Like, that ain't it, girl. I remember this girl that I worked with said she had a miscarriage on a customer downstairs. And I was like, what? Like, and then she went back to work. It's very unusual, but it did happen. I was there. Well, I don't know if what she said happened, but she definitely said that happened to me. And I was like, okay. All right. Here's a long one. And then I'm going to finish it with this. I'm going to finish the stories with this one. I started in 2022 at said club. I auditioned back in 2019, but was way too intimidated by it at first. I'm really grateful to have known so many girls in the industry who have helped me throughout my baby stripper years. I don't want to mention any names of clubs because I don't want to get it in trouble, but this club was so fucking hectic and fast-paced for me, and it was great to have that experience as my first club and learnt so much and grew so fast in myself. This was also my first club. So anyone listening that knows that, I agree. There are unnecessary meetings every month, which, I don't know about this. I'm not going to say this bit. Let me just fast forward to another bit because I'm going to just read through. Navigating the industry as a person of colour has been very interesting because every shift I experience microaggressions and racism. But I have to be smart about it and use it to my advantage because the industry money is the only goal for me. I started in 2024 at my current job and haven't looked back at any other club in Perth. I love this pace. I love the pace of it, and the culture is more at ease and suits the pace of me a lot more. Last year, I had a client who was on his own, and after sussing him out and talking to him, I found out he liked the cam girl aesthetic, pigtails and short skirts. After a few Coronas down, we went into a booking and I learnt more and more about his kinks. He wanted me to feed him drinks, so every shot of vodka I gave him, I made him tip me $100, and there was countless shots. I walked him around to the private room with a leash and made him bark and woof for me. I'm not laughing at the kink. I'm laughing at the imagery of my friend doing this, if that makes sense. I made him bark and woof for me, and I would sit on him as he did. He gave me consent to film him with flash on and humiliate him, saying, I'm going to show it to all of my friends, and they would all laugh at him. He'd suck the bottom of my pleasers on his knees and worship me, and we were in a booking for hours and hours, and I call him my puppy Loser. I love clients where I've found out their kinks. I love the psychology of it and the exploration of it, and I love the consent of it. I very recently, on my trip to Sydney, I had a private booking, my third ever private booking, because I'm very selective about them, where I travelled 30 minutes away from mine. Mind you, this is my literal first day in Sydney, and he had a twerk and passing out kink and degradation kink. I've never made anyone pass out before, so I had to learn quickly. A few hours before the booking, I had a BJJ teacher come to my apartment and teach me a triangle chokehold. He assured me that my client will pass out and that he definitely won't die. I made the client pass out countless times with the chokehold I learnt, and also 2 other chokeholds the client had taught me. Lol. Whoa. See, and this is the other thing, is like you learn so much about different types of kinks and all of these things. Like, I remember this guy would come in and bring a bag of bread and he would get one of the girls to stand all over the bread, and then he would like scoop it all up, put it in the bag, and then he would take it home and he would eat it. And it's just like, there's just so many things that we get to hold space for these people in a way that they might not ever get to share. And I feel like no matter, if you don't get to express these things, like suppression equals aggression or regression. And I feel like just being that safe space for, and I'm not even just talking about kinks. It's like people get to come in and they might not have anyone in their lives to talk about certain things with, or their traumas or anything like that, or what they're going through with their wives that are dying. I've had so many customers with wives that are dying, and they're just like, they just want to talk to someone that isn't their guy mates, and someone that will listen and be held. I've had a guy that was in the SAS, like, cry in my lap because he missed his partner and he hadn't seen her in months, like, and the stuff he had seen. I've had numerous amazing people come into my life through this role that have now become my best friends, that started as, people that took me for dances in the club, and now I couldn't imagine my life without them. And that goes for girls that I work with as well. Like, there's something about this bond that you share. Like, you become a marginalized group of people because people don't understand why you do this job, or they think you do this job for another reason. And it's like, being understood is so important in life. And these femmes that I work with, and the managers and everyone that, you become a family, and you can't You just don't. It's like when you are a kid and someone says, "Oh, you won't understand until you're an adult, mate. Just wait till you're an adult and you'll get it." And you're like, nah, I get it. Like, I'm not stupid. But you don't until you're an adult. And it's the same how people say, like, you won't understand until you're a parent. Like, you just won't get it. Like, and I'm sure it's the same for every fucking job. Until you're in it, you don't get it. And sex work might seem like I'm this hypersexual, alluring person that wants to fuck all the time. But I'm actually celibate. And I don't have a huge sex drive. Like, I don't really... I could go another freaking 8 months, to be fair. Just because I do this job. It's like actors. Actors that will literally have a husband or wife and they will go and have sex or pretend to have sex or make out with someone and be in love with someone in a movie. That doesn't mean that they love them. That doesn't mean anything. They still go home to their husband and wife and their kids at the end of the day. Most strippers have partners, husbands, wives, children. Poly. We're not saying that what happens in the club isn't something that is profound and beautiful and there isn't a connection, because a lot of the time there could be. And I can only speak on my own experience. I love the people that I meet in the club and I'm completely authentically Faye. Like, in that moment, we shared something special. I'm not taking away from that, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get a boyfriend or that I've not had a boyfriend in this whole time that I have been stripping, because I have. So I think it's just a reminder, like, this illusion of... I just thought of like magicians and how they practice these optical illusions, and it's like, but at the end of the day, they're not magic and they're just a person. And I think that's my analogy for stripping, is like, we're not magic, we're just a human. And I hope this kind of sheds light on the spectrum, or a little bit, that we're all just trying to make some money to live and get through this wonderful weirdness of life in all of the forms that we are and how we show up. Because, yeah, as I said, like, I might look like this sexy girl, but if you know me on the real world, I'm a dork. And most of the time I sit in my house with my cat and my kid and my mum. Make art, do my podcast, go to Pilates, go to dance, like, and be celibate. And I know that's not everyone, but that's me. That's Faye. And yeah, I looked up some statistics on myth busting, like sex work. And one that came up was myth: strippers have no education. And it says 2019 study found over 40% of exotic dancers in the United States had completed higher education. And obviously, in my knowledge, I know like people studying law, I know a PhD doctor, I know like nurses, hairdressers, like all of these people that business degrees, like I know someone that has like 5 different diplomas, and V, like she is a millionaire and she is traveling the world running these seminars for other strippers, yet she still strips, because our job is not like any other job, and there's the perks and there's the lows, but it's like, it's something that you can only ever experience if you do it. And it's nothing like anything you imagine if you're not doing. So it's the hardest thing to explain. And it's such a personal journey for everyone. It's like, as I said, you imagine you and your job, how your experience in that job is completely different to the next person that does your job. How you got there, how you experience it, the people that you meet, they're all going to be completely different. How you taste a pizza is not the same as even if you're eating the same pizza. I don't know why I said that. Another myth is decriminalisation increases harm. And New Zealand's decriminalisation model led to better health access, more reporting of abuse, and no rise in sex work overall. I think that's really freaking cool. And that's something that's also so important, is decriminalising sex work, because we don't have a union. We don't have anyone looking after us. Like, I think that's a whole nother thing that I would really like someone else that's really clued on to talk about. There is someone that I'm really, really close with that is a sexologist and talks about decrim and all of that stuff. So I think, again, with this podcast, this is just the beginning, and I will come back to it at a later date and explore it even more. I'm going to end it on that. My zero filter peoples. I saw this thing and it said stigma kills, visibility heals. And I think that is so important for me to share my story, to share others' stories, so we can kind of shake up this water bottle of truth surrounding sex work and let those filaments land in whatever way they want to within you. But at least you have a little bit more education. And I urge everyone out there to go and look into decriminalisation. Go into a strip club and spend some money on a lap dance. Get to know your local sex worker. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you for listening to Zero Filter. Again, if you have anything you would like me to talk about, please hit me up, because I would love to chat shit with you some more on what you guys want to hear about. And I love you all, and I hope you stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.